OKFM 101.7.
Nyankasa me bra Roxon, Honorable Roxon, Dafeamakpor, wono eye MP for South Die. Na ye mranimu ni so ye ne entwetwe enkobo. Okay 101.7 sini. Bra me mo ache.
Kwa me jo so me chia etiefo nya no pe.
Ese de wa bre yi. Kafra. Na akwana no person go betu o wantimi antu.
Kwa me say delegates na kasa.
O makasa. O makasa. Ai.
Oprimum.
Obepre. Obepre.
Na kwa me
kwade unu se mituni fo se. Mituni fo se. Enke be ya says can out the back prime minister no.
It is also man support so mituni.
Why? Me. Wo betu mi me bra mfiri wo. Me kwade me den kra command se e be ya nke scan out the back prime minister no. Onkofa go to provisions igogu ni storm na emwa no. Wentie. Na enra mrase bedwam. You see you were so divided. Ewo ho efa yewura Gyakye Quayson ne expungement no ho. Na debate kase course we leaving the speaker in the middle of affairs. Na eyede na manchi nwa hyew eba asa no.
That's it. So come here say Bakaya Gyakye Quayson ruling that by as part of the consequential orders, Supreme Court I say his name should be expunged from our record. That was the phrase court used, which has become the order. Now, Kwame, that's when we've been saying that.
Been saying that any president.
Any president.
Okay.
And that is also not the law. So what the Supreme Court did is also unconstitutional, because the duty of the Supreme Court is to interpret constitutional provisions when they create doubt.
But not to give consequential orders.
Yes, but when you give an order that flouts the Constitution, it's also unconstitutional. Because the Supreme Court cannot give the directive that flouts the Constitution. But you see, in our common law jurisprudence, what Supreme Court says becomes the law. That is the difficulty they have created. So, and it is also we should expunge Gyakye Quayson's name from our record. How do you do that? Gyakye Quayson has been part of parliamentary proceedings since 7th January. How do you go back into time and expunge all his names, all the things that he has said from those records? It's an impossibility. And in our constitution, it says, when a member of parliament is elected and he is challenged, until the determination of that case, he is deemed to be validly elected.
Okay.
It is until the pronouncement that his election is invalid that he cannot participate in parliamentary proceedings anymore. So the new person who will come and replace him will now continue from where he has left off.
And the order no so consequential no is shrouded in ambiguity.
It is such an ambiguous order. It is such a non-executable order. There are some court orders here, lawyers, friend, even the court itself calls it non-executable. Non-executable orders are declaratory orders. You can't execute it. Pronouncements have been made. That's the end. So you see, in constitutional litigation, you make declaratory judgments. You declare, you live it. So it takes effect on its own. Nobody has to go and do anything. You don't comply going forward. But you don't give a directive that will have a retrospective effect That is what the Supreme Court has done. And that is not how our jurisprudence works. Now, some of the judges are suggesting quietly that we should come for a clarification. Who should come for clarification? It is only the parties in the case who can come. If the parties are not willing to come back for clarification, you can say one of the Abu Ramadan cases, the court gave some directives. It created an ambiguity. Abu Ramadan had to go back to the Supreme Court for them to clarify what they said. Okay.
Aye.
Regarding say whether the names of the voters now was registered, whether they should be deleted or the people, those who register with birth certificate and those, whether they should be deleted or they should just collect their names and transfer it. So it created a lot of confusion. So they have to go back for the court to clarify.
And run no. Me no na be me understanding of it in the crowd say. See I can say yes spongia. One come here say as if he was never elected at all.
Yes, and, but that's
because per the other some here no.
Yes.
I say any hands at the beer and the won't be or your contribution piano. As I said, hands at no say mobile tron who for no come by day.
Yes, that is the and especially all the decisions that he participated, including swearing in of the president, including ministerial appointments that were approved, including the election of the speaker. That is not how the
and it's in retrospect.
Exactly the point yesterday. So you see, they use the phrase. I think I'm hesitating to use this phrase against the Supreme Court. They were in a hurry to say the thing, so they apply the language in a manner that they ought not to. The word should have been expunged at all. Once you said that the election conducted in Asin North was not valid, that is the end. So the work of Gyakye Quayson will stop on the day that the declaration was made. That is why, as a consequence, the Parliament took steps to inform Electoral Commission that the Asin North seat has been declared vacant. Declared vacant not from 7th January, but declared vacant from this May.
Mm-hmm.
You understand me?
Yes.
So the person who win a North seat and come to Parliament will not start from 7th January 2021.
No.
He will come and continue from where. So if it's Quayson, my brother, and who is going to win, he will come and continue with his work. That is the absurdity the Supreme Court has generated.
Abba saying, and Rano, what was the position of the majority?
Oh, now say majority for the story of a Casamon. A few of them agree that this never happened before. Some of them too were saying that it is something that can be done, and you just can't appreciate that. How can you go back into time and expunge names from every other paper, every day, every sitting day of Parliament? It's not possible.
If you're not in the end, more come on, say.
Oh, Minia, clearly it's the non-executive order. It's an order that Parliament cannot comply with. And which is Speaker was very clear that they say Parliament. They didn't say the clerk to Parliament. They didn't say the Speaker of Parliament. I mean, there are two principal officers in Parliament: the clerk to Parliament and the Speaker of Parliament. They are the two principal clerical officers. They take administrative decisions. So, who is the order directed at?
Baba sir, or can I say Parliament should expunge it?
Yes, we have Kwame. It's Supreme Court Nekasa and the Omu camera.
Yes.
The answer on the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, camera and you answer no camera. It's such an innocuous order. Parliament is an organ, just like the judiciary is an organ. Parliament is an organ of state. And when you go to the judiciary, we have the judiciary, judiciary, which consists of superior court judges, from High Court to the Supreme Court. Then we have judicial service, which consists of the staff of judicial service, like the registrars, court clerks, court administrators, financial director, all the people who work and make sure the judges work well. They are the judicial service staff. The same principle applies to Parliament. There's Parliament led by Speaker and members of Parliament. That is Parliament qua Parliament. Then we have Parliament as parliamentary service, which is also led by the Speaker and the clerks to Parliament, with a board, Parliamentary Service Board. So,
you see, just say the mobile say, when you're member of Parliament, be name say from all records of Parliament, the Muntimi sponge.
They are declarative part of the judge. So we as Parliament, we have complied with the declaration. Once Supreme Court has made that pronouncement, has declared that the scene of elections conducted in December 2020 was invalid, we have complied. So consequentially, the seat will have to be declared vacant. And we are also the other catcher. So we have complied with that.
Honorable clarity be ha. Now we can say order na year you know. Why na directed to?
Yes, who is the order directed? If the sponging must be done by somebody.
By the Parliament is what can say. Your leaders.
I have given Kwame. I have explained that. You two don't belabor the point. I have given you an example.
Sure.
If you go to the judiciary, we have the judiciary made up of High Court judges, Court of Appeal judges, and the Supreme Court judges. That is the judiciary of Ghana. Then we have the judicial service, which is also headed again by the Chief Justice and the Judicial Secretary, and all the court staff. And to say court where you need the court registrar, you need the court clerk, you need interpreters. The judge neighbor, court rise, all the people who do that, they are part of the judicial service. They are not part of the judiciary. But you can't, your friend, you're from judiciary. A court clerk is not a judge. A court registrar is not a judge. And a bailiff is not a judge. In fact, a circuit court judge is also not part of the judiciary.
Are you part of the judiciary?
Yes, the judiciary, judiciary, consists of superior court judges. And superior court judges, SRTC High Court, Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. So the lower bench is not counted as part of judiciary, judiciary. Mm-hmm. So that is how our judiciary is structured.
Okay.
Over parliamentary, we have a similar system. A member of parliament is not part of the parliamentary service. So the clerk to parliament any part of parliament. That's what the American. Mm-hmm. He is the head of the parliamentary service. But it's not part of parliament. Parliament, Speaker is the head of parliament.
What kind of parliament is that? Speaker, the better money.
I'm offering you some education.
But you.
And so, over parliamentary, your parliamentary headed by that is the legislature headed by the Speaker and members of parliament and leadership. The clerk to parliament is not a member of the parliament. It's not a member of parliament. It's not part of parliament. It's part of the parliamentary service, which is headed by the Parliamentary Service Board and chaired by Speaker. So what did they American?
They say what you are doing, Jan, I'm ready.
Say all done it, but say, yo.
Said you're asking what?
Asking who will carry it out. Is it the clerks of parliament who will be doing the sponging or the speaker who will be doing the sponging?
It did not say Supreme Court yet definite on that.
Yes. In fact, that order is not necessary because the Constitution says that when a person is elected as a member of parliament and he is challenged, until the court of law determines that case, the member of parliament is deemed, that is the language, deemed to have been validly elected until the court says otherwise. And the Juma is deemed to be valid in law. You can't wish it away. You can't invalidate it. You cannot invalidate it.
Just say, Ora Adamu Sakandi say no. Move on the records.
Yes.
In the okay.
Yes. I have gone back into the hands. I've done research at Adamu Sakandi Akasa. It's in the record. You can't those ones you can't wish it away. At all. Now let me ask you. Okay Amu. Ayawa. Where's Ayawa?
Amu
and Rebecca
Adote, yeah.
Yes. That matter travel in court for nearly 4 years. You can't say Amu no validly. No. The term of that parliament was nearly coming to an end. So Amu never got to parliament. Okay. Amu never got to parliament. Even though the court said Rebecca Adote was not validly elected. She had served in parliament. So all her work in parliament was not whisked away. If there were time, Amu would have gone and continued from where Rebecca Adote had left off. But there was no time, so the electoral commission couldn't organize a by-election. So Amu never got the opportunity to participate in any election and got elected. It was the next election cycle that he participated in, but not the election cycle that he fought in court and got judgment. So we had precedent to guide us, but the court failed to be guided in those regards. And look, and two things have happened in this Quayson judgment, which should be a bother to everybody. Never in our history was an elected member of parliament injuncted from working. Never. And as we speak, there are members of parliament whose elections have been challenged. Are you aware?
Sure.
In the 7th parliament, there were members of parliament who were elected whose elections were challenged. But none of those courts granted injunction against any of them. And they continued to work until the court determined the cases in their favor. And they stayed on and completed their term. Why was Quayson injuncted from working? Quayson, why was he injuncted?
Because John Morodiani say the woman was not injuncted from working.
Thank you.
Okay.
30 months out, he wasn't injuncted.
Now, BB say bar, but when your court no reasons in be a kind.
Judge was my kind of 5 times.
Now, Paddy, a scene ray. Now we are not one consequential order. No one person said the potty pa.
The consequential order, with all due respect, was needless. It was completely needless. for instance, what kind of judgment now? They made the case that citizenship is the same as allegiance. Citizenship is synonymous to allegiance. But after the judgment, I have asked this question. Only if they are judges, only if they go on settlement to other countries, other common law.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. To the extent that even in countries like Kenya and the Gambia, we have had Ghanaians becoming chief justice in those countries. So I'll refer you to the Gambian constitution. Before you can be sworn in as chief justice of the Gambia, find out from the Gambia constitution whether you don't take the oath of allegiance of Gambia. Whether a Ghanaian judge who is on secondment, who has been promoted to be either a Supreme Court judge or to become a Chief Justice of the Republic of Gambia, which two Ghanaians have become. I know of Justice Bobe and I know of Justice Mabel Yamua. Whether when they were being sworn in as the Chief Justice of the Republic of the Gambia, they didn't swear. They didn't take the oath of allegiance of the Republic of Gambia as Ghanaian citizens. So at that time, when Justice Bobe was sitting as the Chief Justice of the Republic of the Gambia, as a Ghanaian citizen, where did his allegiance lie after taking the oath of allegiance of the Gambia? Did he still owe allegiance to Ghana? So you can be a citizen of a country but not owe allegiance to that country.
Baby, it differ from one country to the other.
No, citizenship matters is purely on law. It is determined by law. So you need to have regard to the law governing those matters. So your allegiance to the Gambia is what you have sworn to. You have taken the oath of allegiance to tell your allegiance is to the Gambia as long as you remain on the Gambia Supreme Court bench. When you are gone, then that allegiance is terminated. So you revert back to the Ghanaian allegiance. It is that simple. Yes.
I see. Honorable, better se pa eja na nchemu a wo de abai. Aye.
OKFM 101.7.